Good evening. Welcome to the City of Gilbert City Council meeting. Today's date's Tuesday, July 25th, 2023 at 6:21 p.m. Roll call, please.
Thank you. I have Councilor Pontonen.
Here.
Mayor Smith.
Here.
Councilor Skenzich.
Here.
I also have City Attorney Kosajar. I have Chief of Police Teacher, City Engineer Jamnik, Operations Director Lotiger, Campground Manager Flanagan, and Clerk Zoller.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Would you please stand with us and join in with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any approved additions?
No additions, just additional information that was passed out.
Thank you. The consent agenda, City Council meeting minutes. Boards, commission minutes, invoices from previously approved projects.
After looking at the agenda, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Councilor Potenon,
A support.
supported by Councilor Skenzich. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. None. Motion carries 3-0. Do we have any public input? No public input? Thank you. We'll move on to the mayor's and council reports. I have one report from Crawl for the Cure. Last weekend was very successful and very pleasurable. They said they've been coming for 19 years. It was the first year that I've actually got to attend it because I had to work every time it was on. And it was a very enjoyable night with the street band, or the band they had. A lot of people showed up. Few things, being the first one that we can hopefully make better for next year. Notes were taken, and the people with the Crawl for the Cure were very appreciative of the city's effort to provide that for them. The banquet I attended, got to read the name of the guy who won the Jeep. It wasn't me. But it was a good turnout. They said that they guessed about $118,000 they raised in 2 days, which was pretty impressive and amazing. I did explain to them I look forward to working with them again next year. So they did present the city with a plaque that says the Award of Appreciation, Crawl for the Cure Off-Road Event, Fight Multiple Sclerosis, 19th Annual, to the city for what we do to help them, which we will hopefully display in our new display case. I'd like to thank Sam, Public Works, everybody that put forth the effort to clean up the area and setting up down there. They did a really good job. I want to thank Councilor Pontonen and his wife for the work they did in helping clean up the main street a little bit. Thank you. And that's all I have. Councilor Pontonen.
I just have one thing, and this goes back to the Joe Peterson proposal, for service for our utility, for electrical utility. And I got a hold of Minnesota Power, and they just kind of recommended that we just, because they did this a survey or proposal on what was needed for repairs, like, I don't know, several years ago. But they kind of recommended that we just follow through on that. And then, you know, when we get to where we've done all the repairs that they've recommended in the past, then they'll reevaluate, and they will give us a bid or proposal for their service, like Mr. Peterson did. So when it comes to it, but they didn't even see why we would have to do another one right now until we follow through on the past one.
If I may, it's my understanding that the 10-year one was completed. I did ask around, and I was told that that is done.
Is that true? I'm not sure. I didn't see the last one to see if,
I can pull it out.
because
I do
there was
have
a
it.
grading system that was done, and I know some of them, you know, I don't know how many years out that they,
Yeah.
you know, I'd have to see that. But then
Sure.
if that's the case, they will bid on another one.
Okay, if you want to come in tomorrow, I can pull it up.
Yeah,
for
and
you.
I have her number, we can talk to her.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all I have. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilor Skinsich.
Not much. I guess just one thing I'll touch on, that like you said, that Crawl for a Cure was a real success. I was on the fire department end of it, and it seemed to work out really well for us too. So it was great that they asked us, and I hope next year we can do the same thing. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And I forgot to thank you for you guys' participation the weekend. Thank you as well. No, it seemed like everything was good. And everybody behaved. That's most important, and had fun. Reports from the staff. Fire chief's not here. City attorney.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have no formal report, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Chief teacher.
Mayor, Council, the only thing I have is last year we budgeted we accepted the budget to purchase a squad car. The amount of money that was put in aside was $30,000, and the squad car is about $34,000. We ordered the squad car last year in anticipation that it would not be here for over a year, and they're showing up. They actually show up within 8 months. So the car is at the dealership right now, and I just want to let the council know that I will provide a plan, a detailed letter to the council making a request in regards to those new funds that we'll be receiving. I believe it's approximately $80,000. If we're going to split between the police department and the fire department, or how the council wants to go, but the proposal I'll be bringing forth the next council meeting will be, there's a shortfall with the purchase of the squad car. That money would be used, that we're getting from the state, that extra bonus money September 1st would be used to cover the shortfalls to set the vehicle up, and then the remaining money can be used for the pay off the tasers. We're on that 5-year plan. We could pay that off, and we're free and clear. And then there'll be some extra money that we can look at, but I'll be bringing that before the council just to prepare you. So, but I will be very detailed in my letter. So.
Thank you. City engineer, John.
Yeah, this morning we took bids on the approved plumbing site development project. We received 2 bids. Joel & Sop Excavating was the low bid at $198,645, and that was the work to run the sanitary sewer from the alley south of Holiday Gas Station all the way up highway right away to their site location, about 1,400 feet of sewer main. It'd be a city sewer main, and to construct a driveway entrance into their project site off of 135 into the site. So that we did receive 2 quotes. The other was from Utility Systems America. And I think the next step with this would be to wrap up or update the IRRB application and get that submitted to Chris Ismail and the IRRB. Correct, Jill? Or unless you got a comment on that. So at this time, we would recommend, oh. I'm sorry. No. Just just table it, acknowledge that the bids were received so we can let the IRRB know that, but then table the award to the next council meeting. Get the final funding approved or secured with the IRRB.
I believe we already approved the motion to remake the application, so we can just compile the information and then send it forward to IRRB.
So we just need a motion to accept the 2 bids.
That's my understanding.
There was I should just comment too, there is a second part to the bid, the add alternate. One thing, approved plumbing, the contractor, the owner wanted more site development work, grading his building pad, paving his parking lot, so that was included as an add alternate to the project. So that's, if you're looking at the bid total, that was that work. Site work directly for his building that we kind of added into the bid in the last, towards the end process.
Would IRB fund some of that?
Pardon me?
Will the IRB fund some of that paving of their lots and prepping?
Well, that's what we want to put in our application.
They do that type of work also, not just the infrastructure work? They'll also do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Site development work, everything up to they won't include work, they won't fund building work, they'll do
I'm kind
all
of surprised that
site prep work, yeah.
Paving the lot, that's kind of surprising
Yep.
to me that they would do that. Well, whatever. I didn't really see it, no.
John, do you think these are, I mean, is this apples for apples here? I'm just looking at the price or the cost difference.
Yeah.
I mean, it's $433,000 to $261,000 with that add-on.
Well, the 198,000 seemed like a very competitive bid.
Okay.
You know, we had about 150 in our estimate, but during the planning process, we added another 350 feet of sewer to the project, so it just got bigger that way, but I think the 352 would
That's a bit high.
seemed really high
Okay.
on a unit prices.
Okay. Thanks.
So, I mean, everything looks high, you know, a hydrant's $12,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money for a hydrant. But it's not necessarily a big job, but anyways, that's,
So if the IRB is going to fund, they only normally fund like 50% of the project, right?
50% of the total project cost. So there's building costs, there's everything associated with the overall development.
So we'd be responsible for half of 263?
No, I don't,
Or 260?
that's not part of our application.
No, but I'm saying.
The project would be
At the end
out.
of it, we'd be responsible for 130,000.
The project would be.
Pardon?
The project would be.
The city would be
No, the
responsible.
project includes the building of the building there. That would match half of the cost.
So the city
Construction
would-
of the building,
Pardon?
the construction of the building.
No, but I'm talking about this bid on the infrastructure. We would be responsible for half of it if the IRB only funds half of the sewer and water running to the property, plus the 63 for the development of the site.
No,
They would, if the total project cost is about $700,000 to $800,000. That's the leverage being used to match the $200,000 bid.
So it would be no out-of-pocket costs from the city, that's what I'm asking. For this,
Not that I'm
for the
aware of.
infrastructure part of it.
Not that I'm aware of. We didn't have that. The development agreement said any cost over and above the IRRB was the responsible
Oh, okay.
developer.
So as long as that's in there, that's fine. I'm just curious.
Right,
Yeah.
our cost is kind of the land, because we gave it to them
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that was kind of our contribution towards the
okay.
project.
I just want the people to understand, what this is all about. That's all.
Yep.
Come back.
So do I have a motion to accept the two bids?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Counselor Potenon,
I'll support.
supported by Counselor Skinsich. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. None. Motion carries 3-0 to accept the two bids from Joel and Sop Excavating and Utility Systems of America. Do you have anything else?
Nope, that's all I have.
Perfect, thank you. Public Works, Sam.
I don't got much other than agenda. We just kind of been doing normal routine stuff. Crawl for the Cure went good. I laid out that parking lot area for the extra campers. That went really good. I know there was a suggestion by Minnesota, I think it's Department of Health. They would like to see the sites a little bit bigger for next year. They had some of those big RVs in there, and with the awnings, they got a little bit tight. But other than that, I didn't hear anything else. I know I've been doing some work the last couple days up at the cemetery. Just kind of ongoing day-to-day business we've been doing. I know we've been working in City Hall here. Tim's got this showcase almost ready to go and be used. Yeah, that's about it, unless there's anything else from the council.
No, thank you. Campground Oswindy.
Good evening, everybody. I have a good report for Crawl for the Cure as well. The campground went really smoothly. The additional sites that I was able to book, I did it on paper, so I would have their, because I don't have a way of putting it in the computer, but I kept track of who registered for the off-sites, and I took their payment through the system, and it all went really, really easy. I didn't have any issues with any of the campers. They were all really good. I did have a couple problems with the bathroom door not working, but we got that fixed. And other than that, I received an email from a lady who wants to do a rally next year. She wants to take a Thursday, Friday, Saturday and book about 40 sites for this rally. Basically, it would be the way Crawl for the Cure worked, where I would book the whole group of sites under one name, and then the individuals would contact me and reserve their personal sites themselves. So that would be a good pull for a weekend. I gave her what weekends we would have available when we don't have events coming. So, because I know we've got certain events that they book every year for that same event, and I told her that I would book it for this year, so that I can book it out for next year, so that she's guaranteed those sites. So, other than that, I don't have anything else.
Did she clarify what type of rally?
It was ATV rally.
Just ATVs?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool.
So how would that work then, advance notice, when would she tie up those sites? How do you handle that with people that want to be there that weekend and it's already booked? How does that take place? A phone call and you tell them there's no
Right.
open sites, and that's how it works, that's it?
Yeah, basically the same as Crawl for the Cure. When they call for that weekend, I tell them we have an event and that the sites are all booked.
Okay. So they have to pay that money though, because if they only fill like, half of it, they still have to pay for the full filling of the campground, right?
Basically, they book the sites, they would book it this year, and then in the spring, I would call and get them, they need to put a deposit in the spring. In March, I make all my calls for deposits for the next year, because I can't take any money this year for next year.
Yeah.
So I have to I usually wait until about March, and then start contacting these people to get their deposits in.
Yeah.
So they would reserve their sites with their deposit. I can set up a time limit that if they haven't reserved these held sites by a certain date, then I would release them to the public.
Yes, yeah, that's what I was wondering about, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you have anything else, Wendy?
Nope, nothing else, thank you.
Thank you. Library Director, Sue.
Good morning, everyone. I'm still slowing down after a really wild 8-week summer reading program that has gone very well. We're really happy with it. I'm just reminding everybody that we've got to come in and get the rest of the projects that haven't been picked up. August 1st on Tuesday at 2 o'clock, we're going to have Christopher Luter Gardella, all at the picnic tables, with the puppet showcase. We've been handing out boxes of found items that the kids are going to open up and then go searching the neighborhood, upstairs, downstairs, in the attic basement for all sorts of weird objects that they could put together to make a puppet. We've had people come from the campground and make temporary library cards. I've gotten to know some of the clientele from the campground. It's been a really nice, very nice summer. And even my plants are starting to produce. So pretty soon, people, you can start stealing the peas and the beans that are growing out there. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Any advisory boards? None? Paul's not up there?
He's on vacation.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, Clerk Zoller.
Thank you. I got a couple updates here. First of all, I would like approval from the council to add Mayor Pro Tem Councilor Polis to a signature on our checks so that when Mayor is out of town, we have someone that can still sign for us in addition to myself. Deputy Clerk is my backup, but we don't have a backup for Mayor, and there's some time-sensitive Visa, Blue Cross Blue Shield benefits, things like that, that we like to get out the door ASAP. So if we could add him, I would need a motion from council to approve that.
I'd move.
Moved by Councilor Skinsich.
Yeah, I'll second for discussion. I was just curious, maybe we should add that when we assign the pro temp, that's automatic, the signatory
I thought it
part.
was.
I kind of thought it was myself, you know.
It's just for me to make application with the bank and add him, I do need
Right,
minutes.
but when we do it next January.
We can certainly add that as part of the process.
That's all.
That would solve that, yes.
But, yeah, I think I might vote. So,
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. None, motion carries 3-0.
Second situation, I've spoken with Sam as well as chief teacher. Our pavilion rental down at the beach seems to be more of a headache than it is beneficial with the minimal rental fee that we actually collect, and some people like to sit there and people come down and say I've rented it and the other individuals won't leave. So our suggestion was maybe we just no longer rent it, first come, first serve, get some signage that states it's first come, first serve, rules, et cetera, and then parking barriers, and we've talked either the concrete ones or stuff, just to eliminate people parking on the grass. Ones that can't be moved or picked up and thrown in the water would be beneficial, which there may be probably a cost, but I don't know if Sam can price those concrete. I'm thinking those little things that, you bump up to them. You can't pick them up. But just to keep people, yes, keep people from parking on the grass down there, and maybe it's a little more signage where they can park. I know they're going to have some events. We want to avoid having the entire beach packed with cars where our regular beach goers can't get down there. I know they're going to bring some food trucks. I think Sam and I talked, the food truck should maybe be up on the grassy knoll portion, not down immediately at the beach. So just some things like that that maybe we need to put in place, and scrap that pavilion rental altogether and just first come, first serve. I think that'll help some calls for tie as well.
Yeah, regardless, I can see calls being down there, because just a few times I've been down there, there's lots of people. And
yeah. And while we welcome that and we love the tourism
Yep.
coming to town, I just think renting it is going to be a bigger headache.
Yeah,
And
I
just
agree.
some good signs down there and letting people know what the rules are, first come, serve. It's going to help.
Yeah, if we can put the signs, the rules of the beach that are on the changing room somewhere over there,
Correct.
so people can see it, because that's the problem.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to the changing room, they don't see it, so
Right.
then you see the coolers down on the beach, and
Right.
the dogs walking down on the beach, and it clearly states no dogs on the beach.
Yeah. Better
No
signage,
alcohol.
definitely.
So if we could get some more signage, one of the issues we have with putting the signs with the no parking is they'll pull them up.
Correct.
So, and I know that last round, that's what they did. They moved, 6 of them, Sam, and threw them all in the pit. So,
Yeah. I mean, what I've done recently for signage is, that actually worked was, we plywooded on back with bolts and whatnot, and then we put a sign in, we got a couple 5-gallon buckets and buried the buckets so that we couldn't pull the signs up, and those ones are actually the ones that are still down there to the foot jumping and stuff, so we could possibly do that again, to get it down by the beach. It's just so hard to drive a post down there because there's so many rocks.
Right.
So we actually have to go with that. We didn't try to figure out something.
yeah, because if Splashtown's gonna be there next summer, we're gonna have parking issues.
The hard part is like the big beach sign that you guys were talking about, it's a 4x8 sheet of plywood. And, I think the one that's on the change house is actually bigger than that. I think that's like 10 feet or something like that. So, and where do you want to put that so they can see it, but it's not
In the way, yeah.
So, that's the other thing we gotta come up with. I do have some of those short concrete barriers, from years ago. They were down by, I think, the rec center or something like that. We just stockpiled them, down by our plows. So I could put those down, along grass. I don't know, that's the hard part, is really put those, and are those enough?
Yeah.
And another thing is a lot of people are driving up on that actually handicap path. So you don't want to block that, from wheelchair accessibility, concrete barrier. So, that's the hard part.
Yeah, something like that, can we put a no parking sign? Because, yeah, I've seen scuba divers use it because they'll unload their gear, and I've seen people having their parties in the pavilion that,
Yeah, I don't know, maybe that's just something we increase the fines down there. I don't know if we can have a higher fine zone, or I don't know if that works, or we post signs in the parking, $100 fine for this area. I don't know.
yeah.
That's the hard part, is there's no great answer.
No, I think first step though is if we got signage down there, then that at least gives law enforcement an angle. Hey, there's a sign right there, here's your parking
I
ticket.
think there's about 15 to 20 no parking signs on the pavement in yellow. And,
How much is, you're right,
That's the
Yeah, I agree. But I can see it being a future issue.
So just a thought, if you put those no parking signs up, you know, that snow fence is really cheap. And you can just zip tie a snow fence from sign to sign. And that'd be a deterrent to somebody driving up on the grass, I think. And, you know,
Snow fence up there.
right, yeah.
For sure leave.
And if somebody rips it off, it's not a lot of money. You know, you don't have to fish it, you know, whatever happens to it, but just a thought. Yeah.
Yeah. There hasn't been any problems down there since they've been in, has there, Chief?
Not a lot. It's been today was a busy day, a lot of people, it's obviously parking. Everywhere, places not a sign or they're parking up on there, so. But it's to be expected, I guess, a lot of people from all the area.
Yeah.
But I think that if we put the snow fence up, that's really makes it a little bit more, they're making a little bit more of a,
Barrier.
yeah, a decision to obviously do what they should be doing, so.
Yeah. Perfect.
So I don't know if would I need a motion or to stop charging for the pavilion down there and maybe let us look into some options of signage, barriers, et cetera, and try and alleviate some of the issues down there.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilor Skinsich,
I'll second that motion.
seconded by Councilor Potenon to stop the charging of the pavilion rental at the beach and look into other options of signage. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. None. Motion carries 3-0.
Next merit days, I believe, are August 4th and 5th. Correct me if I'm wrong on that date, but our fire department will be in there. And then I believe the Little Miss Gilbert will as well, if they were able to get in touch with them. That's kind of just an update for people to attend for them. Finally, currently we have $801,131.24 in checking, less the current checks. We'll have about $661,959.26. And the campground, less the $15,642.72 approved in the consent agenda, they'll still have a remaining balance of $108,085.97. Those fees are from June. That's where we're at.
Excellent. We'll move on to the old business, wastewater treatment plant. Sam. And
Oh,
water
treatment plant's been running pretty good. We've had a few issues here with some foam up. The biology was a little bit wrong, but I think Tara figured it out with some sensors that were some parts of the issue. Other than that, you know, there's, I think Magny's talking about coming on site towards the end of August to start doing some of that work that needs to be done. And that's kind of about it. I know we were talking on the phone. We had a phone call with some of the reps. We're having some issues with one of the decant swivels down there. So, and we can't, and we won't know, we won't be able to look at them until this fall when we get the sludge press in there and take all the sludge out of there and get down and take them off and see what we're dealing with, whether it's a manufacturing issue or just a maintenance issue, or if maybe they should have used stainless steel versus aluminum in that situation or what. But it's kind of ongoing stuff going on down there, that's all. Other than that, that's about all I have for that. Water treatment plant. We had a pretty good meeting with Kevin Young from SCH last, was that last Wednesday? Thursday?
I think so.
Yeah. Kind of just went over some of the site stuff, not too much was talked about there. He talked about his trip to Ohio. He went out and visited that plant himself, and had a good report of what they did. There's some stuff that he was going to change, and then he talked about a little bit of the geotechnical boring samples a little bit down there in the high water level that he's got to start working on with other people in his office for preliminary site stuff. So it's kind of ongoing. We have another meeting next month, I think. I can't remember the date.
16th.
The 16th. So, about it.
Did you get?
No, I wasn't invited, and
Yeah.
I would have loved to have been there.
Yeah.
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 16th.
Well,
I don't know
how
if
come I
that's.
wasn't notified?
I always assumed you were.
The schedule was out because I had written down the rest of the year.
Yeah,
So I
I'll make
assumed
sure
the schedule
Kevin
was out.
emails
So
you.
my fault for not calling
Yeah,
you to confirm if you got it.
16th is the next one?
Yes,
And,
16th.
At what time?
I think it's 10
I
o'clock.
think it's 10
And
o'clock.
here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're all at the same time.
Yeah.
Um,
So I think it's the third Wednesday of the month is what
They're going to be from now on?
I think so, up until at the 20th of September, 18th.
yeah, 10 a.m. to 11:30 on the 16th.
Yep, this is what I've got through November.
Every third Wednesday?
Every third Wednesday.
At 10 o'clock?
Yes.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised you didn't come, but now
Yeah,
I realized that you didn't get notified, so sorry about that. Yeah, other than that, there was just ongoing stuff, and wait for the next meeting to get informed on, you know, the geotechnical stuff and what they have to offer, or what they have for information on us. Due to the water levels being a little bit higher in that area, I think 4 feet or 5 feet is what Kevin said is where they hit groundwater. And that's, I know that clear well, they were thinking was it 15 feet, Tom, do you remember, something like that? So they might have to do other options with the clear well, and he's hoping to have that nailed down, you know, by the next meeting and stuff, so.
With the water table that high, is that going to pose any problems for building the plant?
No, because we would be above the water level. That's where, like the clear well, he said we have to be, I think it's Minnesota state statute or health stuff, they have to be above, 2 feet above water level, or any.
But for any digging or anything with the freezing?
Well, they wouldn't go down, you know, they might do, go within 3 feet of the water table or something like that with the footings, but then you're coming up from the footings.
Right.
And building the floor might be 3 feet or 4 feet above the footings. So yeah, we wouldn't do a basement that close or anything like that, so that's where they had to come back with some suggestions on maybe they're doing an above ground clear well or whatnot, so.
Yeah.
We'll hear some more at the next meeting.
Can they put the footings into the water level, the footings themselves?
I don't see why you wouldn't be able to, you know, it's groundwater, but it's just building, would be the issue, would be building the footings underwater, you know. So
were they looking at possibly putting a sump down and pumping that groundwater out of there continuously?
No, we didn't get into that. We didn't get into any of that stuff. That's why he wanted to talk over with more internal stuff.
Yeah, because
he just touched a little bit on it, and he said, well,
yeah, who knows how much groundwater is really there?
Right.
It could just be a small pool.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
Anyway,
So.
yeah.
Other than that, I don't have anything more.
Thank you.
One thing, I talked to Trudy, you know, and I see Stantec was trying to solve that problem with the fine screen, and you were adding more water pressure to the spray bars and
Yeah.
situating the spray bars in different positions in order to help the materials go through the screen.
Yeah.
What, is that going to be their solution to that problem? Or
I
what's-
don't know what the answer is there yet either. I know the manufacturer wanted like 80 PSI at those nozzles. We have about 95 PSI down at the hydrant. I think at the static water pressure is like 75. So if you have a bunch of faucets on, it goes down to about 75. The more you add, it keeps dropping. But I think we were at about 70, 75 static water pressure. So they were hoping maybe we don't have to put a booster pump in there. One thing we were having issues with too with that is some of the on the fine screens, there's electric operated valves that open and close the spray bars, and every time those things open and close, they open fast and close fast. They water hammer and break these screens that are in front of them. So that's why that's why they suggested dropping down the pressure. And that's what we've been running ever since. So after doing some research and whatnot from them, I guess, they suggested to run it at 80 PSI. That's why we did that little test down there. And I haven't heard back what we're going to do yet. I know running the 80 PSI or the higher pressure did help, because there would be a film on the fine screens. It would be like a yellowy film that the people down there would every day they would take like a little electric pressure washer and just pressure wash those off to make sure it wouldn't build up. So we'll see what they suggest is kind of.
Did anybody think about adding air pressure to that system besides the water pressure?
No. I
think that would help to move that material. A little air
Okay.
pressure besides the water pressure.
I could
Just a thought.
I could bring it up to Kyle, Kyle and Peter. So I'll ask them.
Right. All right. That's all I have.
Moving on to new business. Action from the working session. What did we have? Do we have any action?
If I may, I think we were going to, the planning and zoning recommendations and discussion, we were going to table till we talked with the other groups. Same with the forums and policy updates, we're going to look at that a little longer. The summer help discussion, we were going to look at that one, and then, I'm forgetting, the CREP offer.
Yep, and crepes. Yes.
Do we want to move or do anything as far as direction with the dental?
That's the third one. Thank you.
So, with the summer help discussion, it was discussed that Kevin's been working by himself, has hired the summer help. He hasn't had a partner. We've only had one employee. It was brought up, I've given him a pay raise to $20 for the remaining 3 weeks, approximate 3 weeks that he's going to be working for the city. Do I have a motion to approve approve or? No motion, motion's done. Then on to let's do the Krebs proposal. What they were offering was a payment, this is minus their property sale for the Krebs property. I don't have the legal description, but they're claiming $15,000, $7,000, and for an installation of utilities, and $3,500 for property taxes and attorney fees. At the working session, we discussed a counteroffer, for lack of better terms, of accepting the $15,000, not paying the $7,000. Questionable with the $3,500 for the property taxes, and no to the attorney's fees.
Is this included in the public's packet so they know what we're talking about?
This is not. This is, we just got this response from them. Our original offer was, approved with the terms. So this is what he is stating is what will make him whole.
Yeah, I'm just trying to fill in the public what we're talking about here. Yeah.
Right, and that's why I gave a little more detail, but.
Yeah.
I think our biggest, yes, they paid the $7,000 for utilities, but we installed them. So I think that was one of our biggest issues, is why would we refund something we put in?
And then it was brought up about the taxes, property taxes, which, the more I think about it, they're getting quite a payment, and that I think would cover that too. I don't know, after thinking more about this, I know we talked about giving them 18.5, but I'm not sure we should even give them the property tax back, because, that's just part of owning the property. When you buy a property, you pay property tax. Why do we have to reimburse them for that? It's just like anything, you're selling it for a profit now, so that should take care of those property taxes that you've put out over the years. That's how I'm viewing it now, so I'm just kind of going back to just the 15,000, rethinking this.
On that point, Mayor and Council, and this is no means a requirement, but I would just point out that on the settlement agreement and mutual release of claims that was signed earlier this month, it does say that CREP will be reimbursed at closing of the contemplated real estate transaction for all verified out-of-pocket expenses paid by CREP and approved by the City of Gilbert, which may include property taxes. So that was the only item which was listed.
So we have an out if we want it.
Right. It was mentioned, it's a may, just as a clarification.
Yep. And then we're just giving a counter offer. I mean, if they say, no, we want this much more money, they can always come back to us if we just say the 15,000, and leave it at that.
Mayor, I got one.
Yes.
One question. The people they're selling this to, were they looking at building something this year?
We have no idea what the new parties are doing.
Okay. Then I'll agree with you there, Councilor Ponton, and I would make a motion for just the 15,000 as a counteroffer, I guess, if you want to say it that way.
Right, yeah, I'll second that.
Motion by Councilor Skinsich, seconded by Councilor Ponton, to counteroffer of 15, the city would agree in the amount of $15,000. And it's my understanding that Attorney Lindsay's got a message out to him about the attorney's fees, but
That's correct, Mayor. He had emailed counsel for the Krebs for some information about what the $6,000 in attorney's fees included. He did not receive a response back. This email was just sent at 4:11 p.m. today, so.
thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. None, motion carries 3-0. Okay.
Just the Northern Lights.
Northern Lights, yeah.
Pardon me?
Dentist, the dental
Oh.
proposal, yeah.
Yeah. What did I do with that?
We don't really have the proposal on that, do we?
No.
You know, she had just asked if we'd be willing to extend the original offer, which really we would just be excluding the tear down portion. As that's been
Already done. Looks like it was kind of, she's building close to a 3,000 square foot dental office, no less than $150,000 as an interest to the city. $100 would be what she would pay. City agrees to that the current zoning of the property would allow the described article, and then just basically that she would have a year to build or start construction. So that was kind of what the original development agreement stated, aside from we had the demolition of the building. So if we were in agreement to work with just maybe updating the original original agreement, or where we wanted to go with that, and I can let them know from there. We'd obviously still need to do all the paperwork, a motion to sell it and do all of that, but sounds like they could start building very quickly, so.
And then Attorney Lindsay was the attorney on this, so he would know
Correct.
most, so.
Yeah, and she did pay the $500 for the building permit, which, has expired, but, she does have some losses that she hasn't recouped back from the last one as well. I mean, I think we took a bigger bite than they did, but.
One thing about this, can you explain to me and to the public about, we had to pay, what, 30-some thousand dollars for the tear down because they backed out of the original proposal? Is that what happened? I'm not quite sure.
We would have
Is
paid a
that-
portion
we would have covered it
regardless.
Fully, but then when they backed out,
Correct.
we were responsible
For half.
for 35,000?
Yeah, it was 75,000
So how do
total, so
we
we'd pay for half.
recoup that money? Is what I'm getting at.
Mayor,
Yes.
I hear what you're saying, Counselor Pond, but on that same note, that building had to come down.
Right.
It was falling apart, and actually after doing some fire training that we did in there, that was the first time I was in there that I can ever remember, and I couldn't believe the daylight you could see through the walls. The bricks were falling off. There was asbestos all through that property. It had to come down regardless. It worked out well with the cooperation that we had, but that ended up not panning out. So I hear what you're saying about trying to, but
So-
it's in the past, it's done.
So if we had just gone to the RB and says we just want it tore down, would we have had to pay the 35? That's what I'm wondering.
They said they wouldn't have given us any money because it had to be for
Development?
development.
Okay. So I guess that's, explains that. Thank you for that explanation,
And
yeah.
I would love
Yeah.
to see them, progress in town.
Right,
It's a
yeah.
whole right now, so.
Okay.
So do we need a motion?
So we need a motion to have the originals reviewed and brought up to date.
Sure, we can do that. Yeah, the motion.
I'll make a motion for that.
Motion by Councillor Skinsich,
And I'll second that.
seconded by Councillor Potenon to review the original contract with Northern Dental and bring up to date for future sale.
I think it's Northern Lights.
Northern Lights,
Yeah,
Northern Lights
I don't know,
Dental.
just to make sure.
Yeah, exactly. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. None, motion carries 3-0. Does that complete our working session?
Yes.
Perfect. Gilbert Community Church request for community center fee waiver. The Gilbert Community Church is requesting council to approve to waive the fee for the use of the community center on October 17th through the 19th of '23. For pasty baking sale, the request is to waive the fee altogether and allow the church to use the facility at no cost. The original fee is $100 a day for the kitchen and dining room.
If I may.
Yes.
I know it says previous years, but I don't know if we've ever actually charged them, because I think
I
we've,
think it was many years ago.
okay.
When I was on the committee, we charged them my first term.
Okay.
And here's the reason why. We don't have a gambling, fund that we can approach. In other cities, if this came up in another city, they would pay that with the gambling fee, through their gambling fund like Mountain Iron does. And this came up in my first term. So in other words, we're really kind of making a donation to the church. And we're not supposed to be donating to organizations. This was discussed in my first term. So that's why we were charging them back then. And I don't know if the attorney can, add to that or.
I think, with all due respect, Councilor Ponton, I think you're correct that, you have to be cautious about that and treat all citizens fairly. If you view it not as a religious per se event and more of a community event, I think you're safe in going ahead and waiving fees like that. As a community service, it's not limited to just parishioners buying pasties or making pasties. If you feel that that's appropriate, you can certainly do that. Obviously, if it was just, for religious purposes, you'd have some issues. So I understand what you're saying, and you have to kind of weigh that out. Is there a significant enough public purpose here to waive that kind of a fee?
And another thing, if you waive it for one, we got to waive it for everybody. We can't
kinda
just
do.
single out.
Yeah, we sort of have.
We do, we have to then. So
Yeah,
no-
because,
So then we just throw our fee schedule out the window.
Wow. I don't know if you've had these pasties, but they're really good.
I know, I'm not saying anything about, I'm just saying about past
Yeah,
procedures.
Just saying that, everybody out
need
there,
to
they're
be-
really good.
Procedures that need to be followed, and we can't, really.
And I think we waive the fee more for our nonprofit organizations versus the public, if you will.
I would make a motion to waive the fee.
Motion by Councilor Skinsich to waive the fee.
I'll second it for more discussion, because getting back to that, now we have to do this for everyone. Or are you going to single out as just the nonprofits? But Boy Scouts are nonprofits. Anybody that's going to rent is a nonprofit.
I don't think we charge the Girl
If you're
Scouts when they
gonna
do their
have
cookies.
A funeral there like we did.
Well, that wouldn't be a nonprofit organization.
Right, so then it's everybody. So we're just waiving all fees then.
I mean, we've done nonprofit organizations. I mean, the Girl Scouts don't get charged, I believe, when they do their cookie sales there. So it's kind of just the organizations. I mean, a funeral to me would still be a private family function, whether you're inviting the public or not.
So if there's a wedding there,
That would be private as well, not a
you'd waive the fee.
nonprofit.
What's that?
A wedding wouldn't be a
Yeah,
nonprofit
so
organization.
So let's just waive all the fees then. So if you want that discussion, let's just waive all fees for the rental of the community center. I mean, to be fair to everyone. What, the attorney, do you have any thoughts?
I would agree with the city administrator that if, the purpose of the event is a funeral, a private party, a wedding reception, those are private, those are things where you could continue to impose the fees. There isn't necessarily a public purpose. It's not open to the public necessarily. The purpose of it is for a private purpose. Whereas when you're using, going with a nonprofit organization, one that's not generally benefiting financially from it or excluding the public, then you have more leeway in terms of providing that donation, so to speak, I guess.
A little more on that. So if they, it's be $200, so if they just added another certain amount to their pasties, that would be covered, just to kind of make it so there's no favoritism. That's all I'm saying. And I'm sure people that do buy these pasties, really, they're not looking at $1 more or whatever for it. They're going to, it's mostly a donation to the church, mainly, that I believe there. So I just think that they should just charge more, and we just keep the fees as they are at the community center, so we don't have anybody hollering, yelling about favoritism or whatever. That's just my view on it. I don't know. And that's what we did in the past, my first term. We just had them pay the fees like everyone else. And they made the adjustment on their pasty price, and,
The past almost 5 years I've been on, we've waived it every year for them, the Girl Scouts, and any other kind of organization like that came forward that wanted to use it. And we've charged a fee for some that, as Councilor Kozlucher said, it's more private or personal. So I would still stick with my motion. I just think it's a small thing to do for them, and I know for a fact that several times a year they bring treats down to the fire department during our meetings, and I think they bring it to City Hall and to the police. They do a lot for the community as well, so.
And I agree with that. But I do hear what you're saying as well.
I do.
Because,
I do. And that's,
I talk to people,
the
and that's what they
balancing.
tell me, you can't be doing that kind of thing, because it's just favoritism, and that.
I don't think
Yeah.
we've ever shown any favoritism if somebody's requested anything for that community center. The more it's, in my eyes, if there's people using it, that's what it's there for. The worst thing I hate to see is that thing just sit vacant.
Right, but and another thing with those ovens, I don't even know if the health department's been down there to check the safety of those things that. And
They
then
do
that may
annually.
be an issue. Did they?
They do
clear it?
annually,
Did they
yes.
clear it?
Yep.
Okay.
Mary Lou, you have,
Just want to say that we can only raise our price so much, and we do it just based on the cost. We don't make a higher profit. And part of our profit goes back to the community. We support the police department when they've asked us for money. We support the 3rd of July parade. We support the kids organization. And the reason we can do it is because we get the profit from the pasty sales. That's where our money that we can help in the community comes from, is that profit. And you're talking about charging. We paid several years ago, but the cost of everything is higher. And it is a community affair because our church is so small that we could not do it without the community coming in and helping us do it. And that's one of the reasons we give back.
I just have to bring this up, all this, discussion. I'm giving you my viewpoints.
Yep.
And it would be much easier to do this if we had that charitable gambling fund that I wanted to get in my first term, but it was shot down, and this would have made this much more simple for anybody that came and approached for, to have it for nothing. It would have been an easy solution. But that didn't happen. But I think Brian is looking into that, possibly getting it returned to, and even the firemen could have donated through their fund to this rental fees. But I'll vote for it this time, but, I'm just telling you how I feel and.
No, and I appreciate that.
Right, yeah.
I appreciate that. So any further discussion? It was seconded by Councilor Potenon to waive the fee of $100 for the Gilbert Community Church from October 17th through the 19th. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. None, motion carries 3-0. Resolution 2023-21, Police 1033 Program.
Mayor and Council, this is it's become a yearly thing ever since the George Floyd changes with the 1033 program. Used to be called the DRMO program, the Defense Utilization Marketing Office. This was a controversial program brought up about 3-4 years ago, where departments were obtaining MRAPs and items of large nature. We have used it for the last 25 years. It's been very helpful for us. The boat that the city and the police department city crew uses, that was a DRMO item that we obtained. We currently hold 7 M16, actually Vietnam M1A1 rifles. They're 60 years old, but they still work just fine. That's usually what we carry in our squad cars on up and beyond the other guns that we have. A couple of the city vehicles that were used for public works was obtained through this program, along with our Blazer. So we've have not obtained much stuff recently due to the fact that the DRMO office is no longer in Duluth. It's in East Grand Forks. It's just not economically feasible for us to drive out there to pick up basically old military items for city use. And we usually keep an eye on for anything that might be worth it, but there hasn't been anything to make a trip out west for. This is just this continue the program and keep what we have, which is basically 7 M16 rifles, and the Blazer and boats we've had for over 5 years, so that becomes a city property. But there's no cost to the city. We get audited once a year, but there's no cost. So I think I would ask that we continue with the program so we can continue to maintain the items that we have and any future items that may come up.
Thank you. Being this is a resolution, do I read it? Okay. City of Gilbert, Minnesota, Resolution 2023-21, approving police department participation in the 1033 program. Whereas the Gilbert Police Department has a need for the participation in the 1033 program, including controlled equipment it offers the department and law enforcement officers to utilize in order to assist in carrying out its everyday business, operations, and expectations in response to emergency situation. Whereas the Gilbert Police Department has actively been participating in the United States government's 1033 program for previously over a decade and is still considered to be in good standing. And whereas, in order to continue to maintain its good standing and active participation, specifically with controlled equipment, the Gilbert Police Department must have adopted resolution. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Gilbert City Council does hereby acknowledge and support the continued participation and possession of controlled equipment by the Gilbert Police Department through the 1033 program, adopted by the Gilbert City Council this 25th day of 2023. I should have probably had a motion first. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilor Potenon.
I'll second.
Supported by Councilor Skinsich. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. None, motion carries 3-0. Okay. Dynamic braking restriction ordinance update, introduction.
I guess this is also my item. due to the increased truck traffic, specifically on Highway 97 this year, we have had incidents involving the Jake braking or the brake retarding equipment, and this just kind of gives us a little bit more to be able to address that issue. Like I said, it's not bad when it's one or two trucks, but it seems like it's happening more and more often. This way, we were able to enforce the ordinance. The only requirement we'd have to do is we'd have to put signs at each entrance to our community in order to enforce it. Basically, a sign that says no Jake braking or no brake retarding devices. So this ordinance would allow us to actively issue citations for the violations.
And this is the actual ordinance, language?
That's the one we feel is probably the best ordinance for our community. And I spoke with Brian on this, so.
Oh, this is... So do we need a motion to introduce it, or just...
Yes, this would be an introduction, so you can do a motion to introduce it. You don't have to read it into the record because it was part of the packet. This one.
So do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Councillor Skinsich,
I'll second.
supported by Councillor Potenon. Any further discussion? For the introduction of the city ordinance for dynamite braking restriction. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. None. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Then we have Public Works quotes. Cemetery drainage tile project.
Yeah, this would, our section that we proposed a new cemetery burial site up in, I think it would be E West, just north of the chapel there. We kind of got it marked out last fall. During last fall, we had a really wet fall later on, and we couldn't drive or go in that field or use that field. This spring, same way. Right now you can get in there, but we haven't had a lot of rain. What I worry about is if we go to start selling those plots, that it would be too wet to dig in the spring or in the fall. I just don't know too much, I don't know that we could get in there. This was an idea to run drain tile. There's a manhole about a couple hundred, or about 300-400 feet away from that area, to the west, that we would run along the road some drain tile, crushed rock, and try to create a pathway for that water to kind of dewater out of that area. Yeah, I figured if we can do it ourselves, it would be roughly anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 worth of, just as far as I know, drain tile, crushed rock, seed, black dirt type of thing. So I don't know if if council would like to move forward with having us do that. We started, as soon as we could, but it's just something if council wants us to move forward with that. Other than that, I don't know if we could really start selling those plots up there if we don't dewater that somehow.
And once that's done, then cemetery board or the city can start selling those?
Yeah, I would hope the water would drain out of that area and we would be able to start selling that area. It would create a pathway for the water to go,
Right.
Just north of where our site is, I think the ledge rock was about 3 feet deep. So I think that water's coming off the hill, off that ledge rock, and staying suspended and popping out just below where our site is. If we can stop that and create a path for it to follow, that would hopefully open up that spot to, for us to open up burials. I know I have probably about half dozen, about 6, 7 people interested in burial sites up there, but I just can't sell them if we can't guarantee that, you know, it's usable, you know. So this is just an idea, thought I can have. This would probably be the cheapest, you know, way to do it is, you know, for us to dig 2 6-inch lines from the manhole all the way up there. It'd be along the road in between the footstone and the road, closer to the road where we'd run the drain tile. I know, and there's 2 sections down below when you first come in. Those are drain tiled like this. Section C off to the right, and so is D. So just a thought for council if they would like us to do something like this or what.
I know we talked about this before, Sam.
Yep.
And you were talking about putting a manhole there.
Yep. I would possibly put a manhole in the road
Right.
right behind the chapel.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then weren't you gonna connect with just solid pipe from there to that
No,
manhole?
I would go drain tile all the
Why
way.
would you go drain tile though? Because you're drain tiling the other lots that aren't a problem. Why wouldn't you just go straight pipe from that drainage area
I
to that
was just thinking,
manhole?
it's, G isn't, section G, which is the next one over from where we're trying to drain tile, but H is a bad section. The first one on all the way to the left, that would be H. That's a really bad section too. So.
Well, isn't it already filled, the other one?
Yeah,
Is it filled
it
with
is.
graves?
Yeah.
But so why are we draining that if they already dug and it's fine?
I just figured it was, you know, drain tile's pretty cheap. I don't know what pipe, I didn't even look at the pipe cost if
Straight
solid
pipe
pipe.
would be a lot cheaper than the drain tile pipe. I mean, that's what we
Yeah.
talked about before, and I'm just curious why you changed.
No, I always
plan.
thought, I always came with drain tile. I always thought of
No,
drain
but
tile.
you were talking about putting a straight pipe from that manhole, you drain tile to the manhole,
Yep.
and from the manhole to the sewer,
Outlet.
that you have near the
No.
rock wall, you were gonna run straight pipe to.
No, I wanted to go drain tile all the way is what.
Oh, that's not what you said
Okay.
before, but anyway.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I meant to say, I guess, unless.
Because
you
we
got
were
me
talking
wrong.
about even Bronson pushing it, remember?
Yeah,
You can't
yeah,
push, and you
yeah.
can't push drain
Yeah.
tile. So
No,
that's-
you can't.
That's, remember
Yeah.
the conversation now?
Yep, no, I
Right.
did, yeah. Well, you know, and after that, I thought, you know, drain tiles, you know, $200 a roll. If I did 2 drain tile, it would go all the way down rather than doing a solid pipe. You gotta dig it up anyways, so,
But you have to, figure the rock in there too and the time. If you just put a straight
Yeah.
pipe, it's just easy.
I mean, I
to
could
lay
go
in the
either-
pipe. I don't know, I'm just asking you what.
I could go
changed.
either way. I mean, this was just a thought I had. I could go, if council thinks it would be better to go regular pipe, I could do that
So
too.
even if, like you say, you got to the manhole, you drain tile down to the manhole, and then maybe you went 50 yards with drain tile again, but then you went solid pipe the rest of the way
Yeah.
to the rock wall, would that work?
That would
It
work.
would save
I mean,
on cost, I know.
I would go to a bigger pipe, because like under this situation, I was thinking of running 2 6-inch drain tiles right side by side all the way up that hole, and then crush rock in, a foot around that drain tile, and then that's what I was thinking. I don't know how much water is going to be coming out of that area. I know there was a lot of water in that area, in the spring times and whatnot. So I know 6-inch pipe would move a lot of water, but is it enough?
Oh,
Should I run 2 or should I just go to an 8-inch pipe?
Well, to be sure, you could go at 8-inch and then,
Well,
know
that's
you got enough. But-
Yep.
But like I say, a solid pipe is gonna be a lot cheaper than the,
Yeah. Now that you
and
say
you
that.
even need a thin wall would be sufficient, wouldn't it? You're only burying it down 3 feet on
I'd
the
go
side of the road.
up towards the top, it might be about 5. Up where the road and the manhole is, it's gonna be about 5 feet. Down towards the west on the other end, it'll be about 2-3 feet. So
Yeah.
as you go up the hill, it's gonna get deeper. Because I'm gonna try to be at that 5-foot depth when I hit that section, trying to get all that water to fall into that,
Right.
that trench and whatnot, you know, so yeah, I mean, I could go, like I say, solid pipe wouldn't be that
Well,
bad either.
you know, why don't you just price it that way and just to see if it, you know,
And
like the rock, you're gonna have to add rock all the way through.
Right.
If you go with drain tile, but solid you won't have to.
Right.
That'll cut the cost, and I don't know if it's that much of a savings or not, but if you
Yeah.
could just kind of figure
I
it
can go,
both ways.
I can look,
But-
yeah. I mean,
But I believe you should do it too. I'm for it, I just wanna make, you know, as inexpensive as we can, that's all. Yeah.
so I'll try to, I mean, maybe that's where you guys just approve me to do whatever's the cheapest way. I would do that, you know. But it's something that I don't know if we want to wait till next council to come back with a price or, you know, or
Do
if
you
I
have
just
time in the
get,
next 2 weeks that,
oh yeah, it's just going on the Menards website and looking at prices is all
No,
I.
it's
no, but to get the work started, or?
Oh, I think, well, I don't know that we would be able to start it next week. I'm taking vacation. So it'd be the week after I would possibly start it.
'Cause would you do it like in 2 phases, like bring it down to the manhole first and then?
Yeah, I would start at the bottom and work up towards that
But you do
section.
that section first, and then you extend it to the storm sewer later? Or
There's-
would you do
yeah.
it all at once?
I'd do it all at once. Start at the bottom, work all the way up
Yeah.
towards the top. You know, and I know this
Storm
is,
sewer.
yeah, I know this ain't gonna take, you know, it's something that's gonna probably take 2 months for us to do.
2 months off and on?
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's not something we could work on probably every day, but it's, you know, like I say, I got probably 3 guys right now. We're losing summer help in a couple weeks, so, you know, and it's nice now, it's not raining, it's dry,
Get
so,
started now
you know.
to get
so,
the main part of it done, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, so if we approve this cost, and then if it's less after you
yeah,
think you can get away with just straight pipe for that last 200 feet or whatever,
yeah.
and we'll just be that much savings, that's all, so.
Yeah, and I'll look into it.
I'll approve or vote for it.
Make motion.
Yeah. I'll make the motion to approve it.
Motion by Counselor Potenon,
I'll second.
supported by Counselor Skinsich to allow Public Works to go ahead with the cemetery project at the least expensive. Any further discussion?
I don't know if you want to give me a monetary value, like up to $7,000 type of thing? Is that, or just go ahead with the project cost as determined?
I think 7,000 would be
Seven.
the upper limit on that, right?
Yeah.
Because then you could, if it's getting close to that, you can size it down or whatever. to
Right,
make
and
it
I could
fit.
always come back, I'll come back and, you know, hey, we're gonna need a little bit more for this or
Or,
whatnot,
yeah,
you know?
well, less would be better, but.
Yeah, you know,
So with the top amount of $7,000.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. None, motion carries 3-0.
the other thing is Titan machinery loader quote. So there's 2 prices. One was for, well, some parts was $4,638 through Titan machinery. So we've been having some issues after we got the brakes fixed. I noticed driving the loader, especially after it sits a while. So I had our mechanic look into it and talk to Titan, and they come up with the brake accumulator is bad on it. So it's losing pressure if it sits for amount of time. And I think the parking brake, we have a parking brake issue too, and I think that's also causes that brake accumulator or losing pressure. So it was $1,600 or $800 for the brake accumulator, $370 for some additional parts, and then $125 or $128 for some brackets and other stuff. The other thing on here is the radiator. Mechanic noticed the radiator was leaking too, so we also put the radiator on this quote, so we're looking at $4,638 for parts for that Case 721 loader.
So our mechanic's putting the parts in?
Yeah, he's gonna need some help with the brake accumulator. We're gonna have to get a guy up for probably an afternoon to help him put that in through Titan. I didn't get a quote for that. Just figured that would be, I don't even know what the rate is, but he is gonna need some help because of the pressure you're dealing with these brake accumulators.
So they have to come up from Rogers Min?
I don't know if they'd come up from Rogers or if they would send a guy from Titan out of Duluth.
Are they up here, the local?
Titan is, yeah, in Duluth.
Duluth? Oh.
Yeah, that's where they've sent people before out of there when we called them up and had some stuff looked at.
So how much do you anticipate that person would charge?
I don't even know what, I think shop rate over at Midstate is almost $250 or $200 an hour, so.
And this is field service.
It's field service, so it's gonna be roughly.
Is he coming with a truck?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they'd come with a field service truck and whatnot, so it'll be a day, or less. So, what is that?
Couple
thousand bucks, yeah.
Wow.
Is this the one that had the brake job on?
Yeah.
The warranty?
Yeah. No, this doesn't have anything to do with the part.
So you've got an air leak and it's locking up the brakes when it sets.
It's not
Then
building.
you rev it up to release the brake?
It's not
To
building.
get air built up?
Yeah, it's not building pressure for some reason.
Even if you rev it up, it won't build pressure?
It does. It slowly comes up.
Yeah.
But you get all kinds of warnings and lights and stop now and.
And it's just not a line leak, you've checked that out to make sure
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
not a line
As
leak.
far as a mechanic, said this is what is the issue.
The accumulator's losing its charge? Or
Yeah,
what's it doing?
that's what it is the accumulator's losing its charge.
So then he has to put nitrogen back in it, or what does he do?
From what I know, it all comes pre-assembled, and they'll take the old one out, put this new one in.
It's not rebuildable.
As far as I don't know.
Yeah.
So there must be some type of bladder that holds the charge. So if you don't drive it for a week, you go to start it up and you get this warning, stop, and shut it off now. And
it didn't do that before?
No. So that's what we called down to Rogers, and that's what they said is happening, is the accumulator is bad, that it's losing its pressure from sitting. I can go there, run it one day, go there the next day, and it's fine, but if you leave it sit for a while, it loses its charge. And I don't know if we're having issues with the parking brake not working also because of this accumulator's bad. I don't know. But
I don't know how this is.
I don't know. This is what they're telling me that is gonna fix it, and
I know
that's what I'm
you need a
going by.
parking brake, I know that.
Well, that's
You can't get along without
right,
a parking brake
right.
on a loader, for safety reasons.
Right.
I guess we have no choice again.
I mean, it's yeah. I don't know.
Their safety's,
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
I wish I was more. I knew more about this. I know a little bit of mechanics, but not this deep into them.
motion by Councillor Skinsich, supported by Councillor Potenon. Any further discussion?
So on that, I guess it's just what they charge coming from Titan. We have no upper limit.
Right.
It's just whatever they
It's
charge.
going to be a day's worth
Yeah,
of
a
work.
couple $1,000s that
Yeah.
probably
That's what I would
around
expect.
there, yeah.
Yep.
So the total would be about 6,600 or
I
something.
would say something like that.
Yeah. To approve the maintenance request, work done on the loader. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. None. Motion carries 3-0.
The other thing is our orange dump truck, one of the underbelly scraper cylinder's broke, and we've been having issues trying to fix it. We found Chrysler truck out of the cities, I think they're out of, they're able to buy, sell us a replacement cylinder for that. So it's $1,732.
So it just puts pressure down on the plot?
On the scraper, yeah.
Is there just one?
No, there's
cylinder?
two. There's
And this
two,
is
one on
two.
each side. Yeah, it's one
Or
of
is
the
it,
two.
or are you getting two?
No, just one.
Just one?
Yeah,
And you're going to install it?
yeah, yeah.
And you're just getting ready for winter?
Yep.
Oh, looks like you've got some other parts on here too. Spring housing and the spring.
Yep, it's kind of the whole, it's all one. It's, you know, so there's a spring housing, there's a spring, because of that cylinder is already in the housing, and there's back pressure on the spring is kind of how it works. It's,
So that's all in one unit, though? The
Yeah.
spring is probably right on the cylinder already?
yeah, yep,
Right.
it's all in one unit.
They're just describing it piece
Yep.
by piece, yeah. That's another one, I guess we got.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Moved by Councilor Skinsich, supported by Councilor Potenon, for Public Works to go ahead and order from Crystal Truck Equipment, the equipment in the amount of $1,732. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. None. Motion carries 3-0.
This Jasper valve actuator for, I believe, $1351.70. This is at the sewer plant. We actually, council just approved me to buy one. I think it was only about 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And we bought that one because we used our other one that we bought. So we just ended up using this, the actuator, because the other one went bad. So we're just want to stock this one
For a
as
spare.
an actuator. So this, I'm hoping that once this third one goes, that these ones would last longer than the original ones that we got from Movivo. They say these ones actually look a little bit better of an actuator, you know, dealing with the last one down at the sewer plant, so.
They're not rebuildable?
No, no,
No type
Not-
of warranty on them?
no. 1 year, and well, with the sewer plant project, there was a 2-year warranty, and what are they, 3 years old, 3.5 years old, so, no. But yeah, so that's, just having one on hand is what we need, so.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilor Potenon,
I'll support it.
supported by Councilor Skinsich, to allow Public Works to order the actuator for the wastewater treatment plant in the amount of $1,351.70. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. None. Motion carries 3-0.
Next one is Minnesota Pump Works, I believe is what it is. Yeah, Minnesota Pump Works, this is an annual inspection we have done at our lift stations. He comes and kind of inspects us, specs them, gives us an evaluation on what they look like, if there's any fixes that need to be done, or if there's any issues that they see. I think it's pretty good annual maintenance that we've done for quite a while now, since I've been here. So it's $1,846.
How many lift stations?
9. I think there's
Oh,
9
9?
or 10. Yeah.
Is that all we have throughout the entire city?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Doing all those, that's one inspection? It's
Yeah.
not per,
No, it's one inspection. He comes in and inspects them all.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Moved by Counselor Skinsich, supported by Counselor Potenon to go ahead with the lift station inspections for the amount of $1,846. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. None. Motion carries 3-0.
And you guys already approved the JME wall flame shield. That's the fuel tank that I ordered. Just accidentally got put on here. I don't know if you want to approve it for what it is. I think it came in at, I know you already did approve it, but I know this was the price. It came in at $6,350.50 is what the actual cost came in at. That's for everything that.
Do you have it yet? Are you using it?
I got part of the parts here this week, Monday, I think, yesterday. And then I know the tank shipped out, so I think I'll have it probably within the next 2 weeks, so.
Did you determine where you're going to put it yet?
Yeah, I'll put it kind of back behind where we park our vehicles. I'll put it there, and we have some railroad ties in kind of our laydown area. I think I'm going to put some railroad ties so it sits on there for a while, make sure it's a good spot, and then probably build a little like a 3-sided building on top of it to keep just wind and rain and whatnot off of it. So
Are you talking on the edge of the alley?
no, this would be back by the sand pile.
Oh, is it easy access there for you?
It's not bad. I mean, we'll deal with it back there. It's better to be, I'd rather have it back there so nobody can just drive up next to it and start pumping. So that's.
Is there
If the emergency vehicles had to get there,
Yeah.
would they be able to then?
Oh yeah. Don't worry, we'll get make sure the fire trucks and everything are able to use it.
There's a locking mechanism to it?
Yeah, there
Shut it
will
off,
be.
so-
Yep. We'll make sure it's all locked up and whatnot. So.
Perfect.
Does that have a trip nozzle on it?
Yeah.
Like at a gas station,
Yep.
trip off on its own?
Everything's like
Okay.
that, and then there's a reset and whatnot for the gallons being used, and so we can track that. So. The next thing I got is, it was asked, I know brought up a couple times, about having any city personnel go tour that plant in Ohio. I don't know if the council was interested in sending anybody. I know I know Tara would be more than willing to go if the council wanted to send Tara. I don't know if any council members would want to go or not, but I know Kevin kind of gave a price. He was looking at airfare and whatnot, and it was right around $800 for a flight out of Duluth to Ohio. And then I don't know if Jill or Tara wrote, the meals and expenses and the day, but it would be a pretty long day for her. She would be willing to go if council would think that would be, good to go or good to go see it or whatnot.
That'd be a round trip in one day?
Well, that's what Tara's looking at doing. She has some family in Duluth that she can stay with, and she said they would drop her off. I think the flight leaves at almost like 5 in the morning. I think the flight leaves, so she'd have to be there about 4, fly down to Ohio. It's about an hour and a half, I think. John Tome, he was the guy that did the pilot project at the water plant. He would meet her down there and then pick her up at the airport, bring her to the plant for the tour, because he hasn't been there and he'd like to see it. So kind of going on a day that she would be able to go, John would just drive down there, or both would work out for him.
So is he on the design team then?
John, or yeah, I think it's John. No, he's, well, I know Tara, I think 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 I don't know if he's on the design team, but he's the guy that does all the pilot projects and everything for
yeah.
SCH.
I met him, the older
Yeah.
fellow.
Yeah, he's a really good
I
guy,
met him,
so, yeah.
He's knowledgeable.
Yeah, he is. So I think he was just wanting to go there for his experience
Yeah.
and seeing it and whatnot,
Right.
so,
yeah.
so yeah.
And I don't know if there's any plans for Tara to, take pictures or movie of stuff so she can come back with that information.
I don't know if they would allow her to take that, being private property and whatnot. I know when Vesco did the tour down there, they actually asked the city to record or whatever. So I know she could probably take some pictures of certain things and whatnot, but, and
I think it'd be a valuable tour for her because it being all new to her, I'm sure she's got questions or may arise that seeing it firsthand would benefit.
Well, it's nice, actually, going down and meeting people that actually run it and whatnot. So if there is any questions, you got that
Resource.
contact for a resource that has it the same as you or close to, I know with the water plant or with the sewer plant, that came invaluable for us. I know Tara's contacted the gal down in Cumberland a couple times, throughout the beginning process, dealing with this sewer plant. So, just some of that contact is nice.
Yeah.
Is this supposed to be like the same identical plant idea? Or what's
Not identical, but very similar.
Same principle. with
Yeah,
the-
same principle, same, yeah. So, yeah, there's some other stuff that it seems like this one's a little bit on the cheaper side, where everything is, built out of like pole barn stuff. We're getting a little bit better concrete and longer lasting, longer life stuff. But the same, like Tom said, the same principle.
I hope she doesn't need the contacts like she needs for this, though.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So,
Amen.
And if I may, I just kind of put on here as well that we'd have her carry a company card just in case of, I know she's going to do it one day, but things happen and I wouldn't want to put her out or, an undue expenses on an employee to wait for a reimbursement, and then put the airfare on the company card.
I'd make a motion to go
Yeah.
for it.
I'll second it just for a little more discussion.
Motion by Counselor Skinsich, seconded by Counselor Potenon.
When would this be done? Would be in September, October, or something like that?
I would think in the next month.
Within the next month?
Yeah. She'd have to talk to John.
Tom, find out when he's going to be in the area, when he's available, to meet her at the airport, and then kind of get her schedule. So probably the next 2 months, I would think. So, and then kind of make sure that the new guy is all
Trained in.
good at the water and sewer plants and comfortable running them and all that, so.
Pictures would be great, I agree. That would be
Yeah.
phenomenal to see.
And I can ask her,
I
it's,
participated in that Cumberland tour, and I got a lot of knowledge from it, but, and her being the operator and talking to their operators, you can't beat it,
Right,
yeah.
right. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. None. Motion carries 3-0.
That's it.
Really? Thank you, Sammy. Then Resolution 2023-22, amending and restating resolution authorizing Series 2023 and providing for its payment. So this is, from my understanding, the new resolution drafted for the PFA loan that I will be reading. Resolution 2023-22, covenanting and obligating the city to be bound by and to use the provisions of Minnesota Statute Section 446A-086 to guarantee the payment of the principal and interest on its $693,000 GO temporary water revenue note, Series 2023B. Excuse me. Whereas the city will issue bonds pursuant to an authorizing resolution, and whereas the city chooses to apply for the State of Minnesota Public Facilities Authority Credit Enhancement Program. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of Gilbert, Minnesota as follows. Minnesota Public Facilities Authority Credit Enhancement Program. The following documents have been submitted to the council and are on file in the office of the city administrator. A, form of Minnesota Public Facilities Authority, the PFA, Credit Enhancement Program Agreement, the agreement, and B, application for participation in the PFA Credit Enhancement Program, the application. 1, the agreement and the application are authorized and approved in substantially the forms presented to the council. Submission of the application to the PFA and payment of related fees are approved. The city hereby covenants that obligates itself to be bound by the provisions of Minnesota statutes, Section 446A-086, as it may be amended from time to time. The city understands that as a result of its covenant, the bond by provisions of Minnesota statute section 446A.086, the provisions of that section shall be binding as long as any bonds of this issue remain outstanding. 2, the city hereby covenants obligates itself to notify the Minnesota Public Facilities Authority of a potential default in the payment of principal and interest on the bonds and to use the provisions of Minnesota Statute Section 446A-.086 to guarantee payment of the principal and interest on the bonds when due. The city further covenants to deposit with the bond register or any successor paying agent 3 days prior to the date on which the payment is due an amount sufficient to make that payment, or to notify the Minnesota Public Facilities Authority that it will be unable to make all or a portion of that payment. The bond registrar for the bonds is authorized and directed to notify the Minnesota Public Facilities Authority if it becomes aware of a potential default in the payment of principal or interest on the bonds, or if on the day 2 business days prior to the payment is due on the bonds, there are insufficient funds to make that payment on deposit with the bond registrar. The city covenants to comply with all procedures now or hereafter established by the Department of Finance and Minnesota Public Facilities Authority pursuant to Minnesota statutes, Section 446A.086, Subdivision 3, and otherwise to take such action as necessary to comply with that section. The mayor and the city administrator are authorized to execute any applicable Minnesota Public Facilities Authority forms and to provide for the payment of the city's application fee of $500 to the authority, or will reimburse David Drown Associates for their payment of the fee of the city's behalf, which fee is required to be submitted with the executed forms. Passed and adopted the City Council of the City of Gilbert, Minnesota, this 25th day of July, 2022. Again, I guess I should have had the motion first.
I'll move.
Moved by Councilor Skinsich,
I'll second for discussion.
supported by Councilor Potenon.
But just letting the people know, this is for the membranes, the new membranes, right? So that's why we're getting out a loan.
Correct.
The new membranes, that's what this is all about.
Right, it's a kind of amendment, if you will, or additional funding.
Yeah.
And it would have been passed already, however, the documentation left it as taxable, and by us being non-taxable, we had them reopen it up, and we're actually getting a lower interest rate, which will save us about $15,000 over the life of the loan. So that's why we're going through the process kind of again.
Is it a 10-year loan or 20?
I'm not sure at this point. At our next meeting, this is really just to make the application. At our August 8th meeting, they'll come up and they'll go over the terms, and at that point, we'll accept and agree to the terms and then agree to make the payments.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. None. Motion carries 3-0. And lastly, the moratorium on the sale of THC and hemp in the city of Gilbert. As we discussed, refer this to the city attorney's office for, and chief for his opinion on city ordinance for the moratorium.
I'll move.
Moved by Councilor Skinsich.
Oh, second, so are we kind of tabling this until we find out more information from the rest, or what? What is the motion?
The motion to allow the city attorneys to look into
it further?
So my understanding, the moratorium makes everything stay as it is today, regardless of the law, until more information is given. Is that correct, Ty?
And ironically, when the state came out with this, they're making it legal August 1st. However, it is not going to be legal to sell in Minnesota until probably March 1st of 2025, as they have to put the marijuana board together to come up with the regulations. So really the next 18 months we're looking at, basically it's black market marijuana sales, and there's nothing we can do about it. So if the moratorium basically puts it off until March 1st, when that'll be when the licensing will probably start to be able to sell hemp and marijuana products. If the city is interested in getting into the sales business, they can certainly open up a municipal marijuana store, just like they have municipal liquor stores. So there's a chance for some income there. It's a 10% tax. We get 20% of that 10%. So if there's $1 million in gross revenue, we would see about 20,000 of that. So if we have it all privately. So there's a couple options, but I think everything's so new, nobody really knows what to do or go, especially with the marijuana licensing board isn't even in place yet. So the legislature kind of jumped ahead of the gun a little bit with no processes, and we're going to pay the price for it. So,
but with the use of it as of August 1st, they'll be able to use?
They'll be able to use, and they can have, I believe, 8 plants.
And possess it.
And possess up to 2 pounds.
So would we continue with the moratorium, looking into it, also looking for city ordinance as far as restricting it from city property?
Correct.
And just for clarification, the ordinance that was in the packet would just be the ordinance that would limit sales, but for anything that's already been approved, CBD products that have already been authorized. So this would just put a stop on it. Many cities have done this. Again, because there's so much unknown yet about how the Office of Cannabis Management is going to operate and regulate this, and without seeing those administrative procedures, it's difficult for the city. So this kind of just puts it on pause until such time as more information is going to be available to the city. The city does still have the right, though, in terms of determining locations of these businesses, the sales, and how many. The Office of Cannabis Management will be the one to issue the permits, so it won't be the city. We'll have less control than we do, like, for, say, with tobacco and liquor establishments, where you can have more control about where those sales happen. As to any other points, if you want us to look into a separate ordinance restricting locations of use or things of that nature, we certainly can look into that and provide that at the next meeting if you like.
So to your question, yeah, first reading of the ordinance for the moratorium,
Will happen when we get it finalized.
or we can do that
This one can
now.
go forward if the council's comfortable, and it was in the packet, and this is just, again,
Yeah.
preventing sales
Yeah.
until such time as
Right.
more information is available. I
Yes.
believe it sunsets automatically, so.
So somebody can come from out of state, like Colorado, and you can't do anything about it. They can come and sell how much they can possess here, and you can't stop them.
So they can possess 2 ounces of marijuana within a motor vehicle on
But
them.
they
And
can't sell, though.
They can't sell, and ironically, because there's no licensed facilities in Minnesota that can sell, it's all coming across the state borders, which becomes a federal crime because they're crossing state lines, which it's been happening anyways. It's basically the black market for the next 18 months.
But you can't prosecute for that, then, if you found out that it was coming from out of state.
We could we could charge. I don't know what the prosecuting officer is going to prosecute any marijuana cases.
Everybody's going legal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they basically have made 50 pounds of marijuana is you won't do any jail time or anything like that. So they've really kind of decriminalized it already.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So we need a motion, or we just had a motion, mine was a second, yeah.
Yeah, actually, we'll do it individually then. We'll do this first reading, or introduction, the introduction, and then we'll do a second one for the city restriction, have them look into. So, motion by Councilor Skinsich, supported by Councilor Potman for the moratorium on the sale of the THC and hemp. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. None. Motion carries. Do I have to read this one? Because it's in.
I believe this one was in the packet.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you will have
Yes.
to read it out loud. Thank you.
I did it the right way and I didn't get to read it. Okay. So on the second part, a motion for Attorney Lindsay and Colleen, easier, Attorney's office to look further into proposed ordinance for prohibiting the use of THC on city property.
I move.
Moved by Councilor Skinsich,
No, second.
supported by Councilor Potman. Any further discussion?
under the ordinance, it would fall underneath a misdemeanor within the city ordinance code, and a judge would have to set what that fine would be.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. None. Motion carries 3-0. Do we have any miscellaneous announcements? I have none. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
No, second.
Moved by Councilor Skinsich, supported by Councilor Potman to adjourn our city council meeting at 8:20 PM. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. None. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you.